Why, hello there! I know it's been a while since I made a video. I thought I would... Well, I've got to build this controller anyway, so I thought I would just tell you what I've been up to while I do this, just to make an easy video. So, I think it was July of 2022, I started programming a pinball machine for Spooky Pinball. So that's been about almost a 1.5-year project when it'll be all said and done. Whenever I go to shows, people are always like, what do you do now? And I'm like, well, and yeah, after I wasn't doing the show, well, I took some time off, just a couple months. Then I just started doing like contract work, but I kept on building these single-handed controllers for people. Because there was a time where Felix was doing this, I think probably 2014 to 2018, because I was getting way backed up. But then once we stopped doing the show, and then Felix was kind of backed up on these, so I resumed doing these myself. Yeah, and I still build them. However, yeah, my main priority has been pinball programming. Now, I do want to make a video on that subject. The game I've been programming, it's a licensed theme, so I can't talk about it until it's actually been released and approved. But that day will come, because I would like to talk about how I go about it. It uses it uses Unity. Yes, everyone's favorite game engine. That controversy doesn't really affect the pinball stuff too much, but still, I know it's had some controversy. But it's fun because I get lots of experience programming in C#, which is also good for Windows stuff. So yeah, once I'm able to talk about that, I'm definitely going to make a video and just kind of show my process. It's pretty much the same as when I did America's Most Haunted. I still use Premiere and After Effects and do design layouts for the LCD and Adobe Illustrator, and then I translate that into Photoshop and Premiere and whatever else I need. So yeah, a lot of that stuff from America's Most Haunted carried over, including how I do the light shows. So yeah, I can't say when that video will be, but it's kind of weird, when there's a community, an obsessed fan community, Pinside, which is the pinball community forum or website. And you have to be really careful. Anything you say, they'll hyper-analyze. So it's kind of weird to think about, oh, I'm doing something that might get hyper-analyzed. Yeah, that's right, bud. I still have not made a PlayStation 5 version of this controller. Sony just constantly changes their hardware. I've bought PlayStation 5s to examine. I think I bought PlayStation 5 controllers. I bought PlayStation 5 controllers to examine, and they've gone through at least 2 revisions. I want to say maybe even 3, which is ridiculous. What? But PlayStation 3 was the same way. PlayStation 4 was the same way. It just makes it so hard to build stuff because you can't, you can't just lock stuff in. So that's one of the reasons why I just keep doing Xbox. It's the same thing with doing latency equipment. It's oh, if you want to be able to get a sync signal easily off of a PlayStation 4 controller, you have to use this one particular model. Oh, but the model number is the same. The only difference is the position of where the model number is on the sticker on the back. It's so stupid. I think Sony's just addicted to designing hardware. Look at that, what was it, Sony Portal thing they made? It's hey, let's make the Wii U. That was a success. They're just hardware addicts. Sony makes good hardware, but it's they're addicted to it. just love doing it. So when the chip shortage was a big problem, it's better now, unless you're trying to buy a Raspberry Pi. But I used to buy through-hole Hall effect sensors for the analog joysticks, like or analog triggers, like these. But yeah, they became unobtainium, so it was better to get some flex PCBs made, so you could reuse the existing Hall effect sensors, and kind of make your own TO220 package. So I had all sorts of yeah, well here, I had all of these Hall effect sensors I've pulled off of controllers in the past, and back then I would replace them with one of these, which means I had these as spares. So now I have unlimited power, unlimited supplies. Yeah, even like the test, like on this controller, like the test point numbers, like for the X, Y, A, B buttons, the test points numbers are even the same. They did change the pads, unlike these through-hole joysticks. The pads are a little smaller, which makes them a little bit more difficult to desolder. However, I have also noticed there's, not that it happened a whole lot before, but there's less chance of the pads ripping up now. So it just takes a little bit more time and heat to do this, and that's why I pre-soldered it. So with these controllers, I've been trying to find ways to improve the process so I can keep the price the same, because all of, inflation. Although the Xbox controllers, they haven't gone up too much. Like Sony and Nintendo, they've jacked their controller prices to the moon. Whereas these, you can still quite often find these on Amazon for under $50. And actually, I think these I got in a Black Friday sale. There we go. So one of the things I've done is instead of soldering things by hand, I just get PCBs made. I think some of these are from JLC PCB, and I think the Flex are from PCBWay. So anything you can do to make it faster, because the most expensive thing is time. So this is a right-hand controller, so we use this side of it. Yeah. And then these solder points control which lines these attach to. Because when you flip it, you have to flip the sides of the potentiometer to invert them. So that was kind of my thing. Like, I mean, PCBs cost money, but it's cheap compared to the time it would take to wire this up by hand on like a piece of plastic, which is what I used to do. I think I made these circuit boards like in 2021. So the pots are so the user can fine-tune, adjust where the center is. Basically acts as a voltage divider offset. Works out pretty well. I also have PCBs for the new D-pad. Now, populating the PCBs by hand obviously also consumes time. Although when you get them populated overseas, that does tend to be a lot more expensive than just the PCBs itself. Well, it's kind of an obvious statement, isn't it? Oh, turn my iron back down to 595. Bud now weighs 16.7 pounds, and the vet was like, you need to give him some diet food. And I was like, him and me both. I don't know. I mean, he's a really big cat. I think if he loses 2 pounds, he's gonna look like a supermodel. It's gonna be kind of weird. I guess, if he like jumps on my balls, that would hurt less. Not that that happens that often. It's like, oh, I'm just going to step here while you're sleeping. Thanks, bud. So we are planning to have another workshop at MGC this spring. It's going to be the same one that we did last year, the Game Badge 3 with the Bud game. I'm thinking, since PCBWay has been wanting me to do some sort of project with them since like the dawn of time, I'm thinking about joining up with them and seeing if they'll populate the passives for us. So like little surface mount resistors, capacitors, and perhaps the lithium ion charger chip. That would make the workshops go faster, because the last one we did, 40 people in 2 sessions of 20 each. We got it done, but it was kind of cutting it close. So it's like, okay, well next year, what will we do better? I have been trying to like not strip wires with my teeth, because my teeth are old. They were never good to begin with. Yeah. You know, there'd probably be a better way to do this. But headers. Oh, take a drink. Headers are one of the most expensive things in electronics. It's true. If I'm distracted or whatever else is going on, I can usually build one of these in about 2 hours. When I have something interesting or like a 3D printer to review. I do wish I could make more videos. Although kind of the problem now is I've been in programming crunch. Oh no! Wow. Those aren't very straight. That's a perfect example of filming something affecting your ability to do it. Which was one of the annoying things about the show when we did it. Switching from my favorite 2mm bit to 5mm. Yes, I use metric bits for this, even though I'm an American. You can't do this to me, I'm an American. Oh wait, no. I can't do any more Indiana Jones content on this channel. Although, man, I would really love to do an analysis of Indiana Jones 5 and kind of like pick it apart from an editing standpoint to try to figure out if those reshoot rumors are true. I think they are. Like, if you look at the movie, if you look at the rumors and you look at the movie and try to piece it together, you can kind of figure out where stuff happened. Like, when they put Indiana Jones on that plane, I don't think he was shot originally. I think they like CG'd in like a bullet hole in his jacket. Because that whole scene, it doesn't act like he's been shot in the chest. Like, normally, like, if a 70-year-old man gets shot in the chest, it's going to affect him. But the whole scene, he's just like, oh, I've got some blood on my shoulder. And kind of makes you wonder. Well, I guess I might as well talk about it. No, here we go. No. It's Indiana Jones channel. So as the movie was released, Indiana Jones is like, oh man, spoilers for Indiana Jones 5, as if anyone cares. As the movie was released, Indiana Jones has been wounded and he's like, leave me in the past. I want to die. And then the woman's like, no, I love you. She punches him. So obviously, if there is an 70-year-old man, because remember, he's not 80 years old canonically. In Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Indiana Jones would be 70. He would be 70 years old. Indiana Jones would be, because Indiana Jones was born on the 4th of July, 1899. So apparently, the rumor was the original ending was they go back in time to like 1930s Germany. So they kind of, that's like what they call the 4chan ending. And they're gonna like Spider-Man No Way Home it, where like old Indy and young Indy teamed up. And then the rumor was they reshot that, so they changed it to be like they go back in time to like Roman times or whatever. Because if you think about it, like, if the whole movie is based around some baddies trying to go back in time and correct the past, but then they don't actually go back in time, that's kind of a big letdown. It's like you've set up like this big MacGuffin, but then you don't execute it. So that's one of the things that makes me think they changed it. So then apparently they shot an ending where he goes back in time and then he dies in the past. And then I guess at the very last minute, they filmed, what's her face? Phoebe Waller-Bridge in front of a green screen throwing a punch. And then they shot a scene in his apartment. That's what they added at the last minute. That was the reshoot that John Williams talked about. And they're like, oh, John, you shouldn't have said that. But yeah, if you watch the movie, it's very plausible. Because all you got to do is you edit in a part where Indiana Jones randomly gets shot. And then, oh, let's take him with us for no reason. Why did they take him with them on the plane? There's no reason for that. Unless you're trying to patch up something you've already shot. They're on the runway. And she's like, what was the kid's name? Teddy? She's like, Teddy, go find a plane so we can chase after them. But then she gets on a motorcycle. So why did they do that? If they were going to chase him with a plane, why did she get on a motorcycle? Which makes me think the original version was she just gets on the motorcycle and then she goes into the landing gear, which, of course, would also never work on a plane like that. Like, that plane apparently had a whole die-hard-sized ventilation system on the bottom of it for her to go into. So I think what they did was they added the scene in Morocco or wherever it was where the kid is, like, pretending he's a pilot. They put that in so they could put him in a plane, and then they put a guy in the back seat of the plane sleeping so they had a way to get back or a way for him to land the plane. Because if you look at it, it just reeks of something that was, like, reshot and patched up. So the whole thing with her on the motorcycle going into the plane and Indiana Jones on the plane, I think that was from the original shoots. But instead of going back to 1930s Germany, they go back to like ancient Greece or wherever it was. Yeah, because so much of it doesn't make sense. Like they're flying the plane and they're like shooting at the Roman soldiers, and the next thing you know, the plane is like 10,000 feet up in the air. Like what the heck happened? I'm telling you, something's fishy. I have experience like editing and filming stuff, like. And also cobbling crap together and trying to make stuff work with what footage you have. Like Port Washington, the movie we barely were able to complete. And you got to do it by hook or by crook. And I don't know. It really seems plausible. So this is a right-handed controller. So the left click in and the left bumper, I move down here. So I do that with this thing. So I used to I would use the laser to make a alignment jig, and then I would glue the switches directly to the controller, then wire them up manually, which again takes time. So I got these flexible circuit boards made. And you know what's crazy is, like, since I started doing this style of controller, like in 2018, I always thought that these buttons would be the failure point, but it wasn't. The number one failure point of these controllers, by a country mile, is... you guessed it, stick drift, which I have no control over. However, I have been doing this long enough to tell you that stick drift has definitely gotten worse, like in the last, well, this console generation especially. I think Alps is like, and they're all like PlayStation 5, Xbox, they're all made by Alps. I think they're like cheating out on the carbon. I think I did a video about that once. It's definitely gotten worse. Worse to the point where I'll actually use like spare 2013 model Xbox controllers and pull the pots off of them. Oh, and then as far as adding the bullet wound, it's like, well, we still want Indiana Jones to die because everyone has to die now. Even if it's for no reason, Luke Skywalker. Oh, okay, well, how is he gonna die if we're just flying the plane around, you know, fighting Romans? Well, he gets randomly shot. And then they put him on the plane. I think originally he was just captured. It was probably like, Dr. Jones, we must take you back with us so you can lead us someplace in 1930s Germany. You were there, you know where to go. Something like that. But then once they scrap that, they're like, well, we want him to die in ancient Greece, so have him randomly get shot. And then he doesn't act like he's shot when he's on the plane. And then all of a sudden he acts like he's been shot. Oh no, video flagged for too much excessive talk about Indiana Jones. Stop talking about Indiana Jones. But I like Indiana Jones. You like Castlevania, don't you? Because think about it. What story purpose is served by having Indiana Jones randomly catch a bullet in a cave? None. it's not like Last Crusade. You know what, Dr. Jones? You're absolutely right. Junior! I've been shot! Now you're going to have to trust in the power of God in which you don't believe. There's a story purpose for that, but not what happened in The Dial of Destiny. Is it out on video yet? Maybe I could make another video everyone will hate or not watch. You know that's exactly how YouTube works, right? Like, YouTube says, okay, your channel is this. My case is electronics. So if I do anything that doesn't involve electronics, ding, ding, ding. Oh, I didn't mean like a good ding, like you just won Jeopardy. I mean like you get dinged. And it kind of sucks. It's like when like Aerosmith is like, welcome Los Angeles. We wanted to sing a new song. And everyone's like, play Sweet Emotion. Like Angry Video Game Nerd. You know he wants to be a movie. He wants to be Red Letter Media. But YouTube is like, no, you're the Angry Video Game Nerd.
Angry Video Game Nerd is the Wish.com Red Letter Media.
I use this 2mm bit. I was redoing my kitchen. I was drilling into the floor, and I think I permanently dulled it doing that. And then I set it on fire because I got a bunch of plastic stuck in it. But it still works. I could never have enough drill bits. Actually, if you buy nice Hoyt drill bits, you don't really need that many. You just need like maybe 3 indexes total. You know, give one to your friends and family. My stepdad had these. He's one of those guys that actually would like pick up the phone and talk to telemarketers. Anyway, for some reason he bought 3 English Hoyt drill indexes. He gave me 2 of them, and I was like, "Where's the 3rd?" I think one of my uncles got it. That's like my Indiana Jones. Like I go to my mom's house and it's like, the 3rd Hoyt index. It must be somewhere, maybe in the garage of destiny. Then my Uncle Bud pops out of nowhere. He's like, Junior, the search for the drill index of destiny is a search for the divine in all of us. Elsa never really believed in the drill index. She thought she'd found a prize. You know who would have been really good in the Indiana Jones movie as like a younger female sidekick? Emily Blunt. Emily Blunt would really be awesome. Of course, I'm just saying this because of Multitude of Madness. Magniverse of... What was that movie? Multiverse of Madness. Also massively reshot. They had, Jim Halpert as Reed Richards. So, of course, Emily Blunt should be Sue Storm. How cool would that be? Yeah, speaking of movies, I haven't watched very many movies lately. I think the last one I saw in the theaters was Oppenheimer, which I found really disappointing. It was a Red Scare movie with like 2 minutes of engineering in it. But just the other day I watched the new Dungeons and Dragons. I thought that was a super solid film. I really enjoyed it. It's ironic because Dungeons and Dragons 2000 is it is my favorite bad movie ever. Jeremy Irons. Oh, it's amazing. I've watched that movie so many times. I've shown so many different sets of friends that movie. I think we watched it last year, as recently as last year even. Because, everyone has to witness the amazing scenes of Dungeons and Dragons and all the overacting. Although I don't know if it's, I don't know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but maybe it's like a trope. Like, actually, there were like similarities between the 2000 movie and the new one, like with the characters. Like, halfway through the movie, they meet this magical ancient creature with a silver breastplate, for instance. So the red mark tells me which pin is on the right, because the polarity matters. So here's my little trigger. So one thing I do differently with this, the Xbox controllers use ceramic magnets. I'm using neodymium magnets. So I use this as my polarity reference. Pull it off. So since I'm using neodymium magnets, they're stronger. So I actually use a magnet with less mass, so it has the same range. Because if you were to use a neodymium magnet that's 6 millimeters by 3 millimeters, with the sensor, the sensors are, it would be off. It's way too strong, so you wouldn't see the range of the trigger pull. And also the fact that this magnet is recessed, that's also part of it. Obviously, you know, like years and years of research and stuff. You know, these springs, I don't just pull them out of pens. They're from McMaster-Carr. They're actually, I think they're the single most expensive component in this. Isn't that crazy? Don't you think? It's like rain on your wedding day. See, before everyone used the word literally incorrectly, they used the word ironic incorrectly. And it's all Alanis Morissette's fault. You know what? If I would have wrote a song, if I would have wrote a hit song when I was 19, I probably wouldn't have done any better. You know, it's weird. It's so strange. Like my mom, who is no like literary genius or anything, she actually uses the term literally correctly, which is kind of hard to believe. So starting in October, I was kind of crunching pinball code, trying to get across the finish line, all the to-dos and everything. So then once I got into November, which is this month, I didn't have to crunch as much because we got past the deadline. But yeah, it's been taking a lot of time. So even like beyond other projects, I really haven't had a whole lot of time for just random electronic projects, which is why on my channel, if you see anything, it's usually a 3D printer review. So I can usually, you know, I can usually do those across like 2 or 3 weekends. So it's not a big deal. Eyeballing it. Yeah. So some possible electronic project I'd like to make. I need to finish my Atari Kitten. I started this a couple years back. The Atari Lynx is like a needlessly large portable. The system itself is actually not a whole lot to it. There's a CPU, a GPU, 2 RAM chips, and then a shift register, and then a counter. Because like the way it loads its cartridge is like crazy. It actually pings the address register using a shift register and a counter, and then it loads the memory like in 1K chunks. So it actually has a cartridge, but it loads. The cartridge is loaded into RAM and then executed. It's also a perfect example of why cartridges have loading, despite what anyone on YouTube might tell you. If you had cartridges where there was an 8K VRAM, like Contra or Mega Man, like when Mega Man drops down a level, you know, when he's scrolling horizontally, but then he scrolls vertically, and there's a slight pause. So the game is actually loading data off of the ROM portion of the cartridge, uncompressing it, usually just something simple like RLE, and then writing the RAM into the VRAM chip. Because the earliest Nintendo cartridges, like Super Mario Brothers, they would just have a 32K ROM and then an 8K ROM for the images, for the video. Because the reason that a Nintendo cartridge is so wide is because there's actually 2 buses on it. There's a CPU program bus and then a video bus. There's a great video on YouTube about the game Micro Mages. You should check it out. They talk about that in excruciating detail. But anyway, yeah, so a lot of Nintendo games would, yeah, they would load graphics data off of the ROM in the cartridge and then write it back to the cartridge into the RAM, the VRAM chip, which also made cartridges expensive because you're like getting an 8K RAM cartridge on there, a RAM chip on every cartridge. Later Nintendo games, like the ones that have like the MMC3 mapper, they would just have huge ROMs for the graphics data, and then just like rapidly bank switch them, and then they didn't need a RAM chip. All right, so this is something else that, yes, I used to like manually solder these wires to the switches, which are glued to the controller. Again, that takes more time. And then mark the right one. Oh, sorry, got off topic there. So yeah, I was designing a smaller PCB for the Atari Kitten. And then Mick Will has an LCD kit for it that I would just attach. And then the idea was to make an Atari Lynx that was closer in size to a Game Boy. It should be pretty doable. I just haven't gotten around to finishing it yet. So that's one thing I want to do. I also want to do the Game Badge 4, which has a bigger screen. The Game Badge 3, its major limitation is that it's got a 1-bit SPI for the screen. So even though I'm using DMA, you're still limited to 64.5 megahertz 1-bit SPI, which is why it only runs at 30 frames a second. You could probably do 60, but you should have to double buffer it. However, if you use like the ILI 9341, you can get an 8-bit parallel bus version, which means you can use the Raspberry Pi Pico and the PIOs and do 8-bit DMA transfers, which gives you, well, not quite 8x the speed, but you would definitely get 60 hertz out of the display. So here's something I do. I'm actually going to take this cable and fold up a couple loops into the cavity. The reason for that is if down the road I have to fix it, I can actually pull this off. I can actually pull this out far enough to desolder this. Otherwise, it's too tight. So this basically gives me slack to fix it later on if I have to. Because I would say these actually, believe it or not, this actually breaks more than these. Strange, huh? Not electronics related, but one of these years I also want to make a Christmas album. I'm not even going to justify or explain that. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. Why wouldn't I do it? Alright, so they added this, the share button. I think it like takes screen caps of your latest adventure in a Microsoft exclusive game. I don't see what the big stink was with Microsoft buying Activision. I mean, yeah, I guess on paper I don't like those giant mega mergers. Also, it really makes me think of like Disney buying Fox. I mean, why? It's like, oh, we spent $70 billion on Fox. That means we only have to make like 30 Avatar movies to pay back Fox to pay off our investment. So, yes, Avatar 2 makes $2 billion. only $68 billion more to go. But I mean, if you look at like console sales, like Sony is like just like has for a while now. Sony has been way far ahead of Microsoft. I think it's because of all like I call them script corridor games. You know, the Sony games that would rather be a movie. I don't think I need to explain it much more than that. I actually got a Xbox One X. I was kind of tired of those movies. It's like, Nathan Drake, you and your brother, blah 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 blah. Oh, that's actually why I like the new Tomb Raider, like the reboot, like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and all that. I've enjoyed those more than the last couple Uncharted games because most of the time she's just by herself, so she's not having to talk to someone the whole time. They don't design. See, the later Uncharted, it's like they designed the game around dialogue exposition. Like, why? Oh, look, I'm in an old building. My friend has to push over. What's that thing called? What's that thing they had to smash up in To Kill a Mockingbird? A chifferobe. Yeah, in order to climb this wall, Sully has to push over a chifferobe so I can climb the wall. It's like they put those mechanics in just so there's an excuse to have another character in the game, so there's an excuse to write a bunch of dialogue. And I'm just so sick of that. But Lara Croft, she's just like, oh yeah, I'm just Lara Croft. I'm just raiding tombs on my own. And she also doesn't spend the whole game climbing walls, which again, it's like, why do we need a scene of Nathan Drake, Sully, and Ilana? Why do we need a scene where all three of them climb walls? Oh, right, so they can talk. Ugh. But yeah, I guess Microsoft just needs to make some story corridor games. Maybe they could do like Halo, but Master Chief has a son, and he's like, boy, I am hungry. And then there's a bunch of dialogue, and then they have... The reason why there was a pushback is because Sony might be kicking Microsoft's butt with console sales, but if you compare the companies, the size of the companies, it's not even close. Like Microsoft makes Sony look like a lemonade stand. And so I think that's where the danger is. But still, I mean, you know, I guess it makes it more competitive for Microsoft. I don't know. I think instead of spending $60 billion on Activision, they should have just spent like $10 billion on like making their own Horizon Zero Dawn. So I need to connect this ribbon cable from this D-pad to the test points on this serial expander chip for the D-pad. Remember when I talked about connectors? Like the older controllers had 2 of these connectors, but then they added this I2C serial expander chip, which would technically cause some latency, but probably not enough to notice. So this chip sends like bit data through here. Well, it would just be 2 lines if it's I2C. So they could basically have 1 connector instead of 2. So yes, it's more cost effective to add a chip and remove a connector. Isn't that crazy? So this is part that's a little harder to solder. Might have to break out my magnifying glass. Here, I'll zoom the... Well, I'm shooting this at 4K and rendering at 2K, which means I can zoom in 200%. Whoop! There's a sound effect. So I think I can do this without my glasses or my magnifying glasses. So it's those 2, that 1. Come on. Give me the shine. There we go. And then this is the one where you have to make sure that you don't bridge a resistor. There we go. And I can still usually do this without my peepers. I have noticed degradation in my vision. I mean, not just, you know, focus or whatever, needing bifocals, but light. It's like I need more light than before. Like I struggle to like read the text on chips. But this kind of stuff I can still do. This is no problem. So I'm going to bend that down so it has a bias downward. So when I press it, it'll act like a little bit of a spring and ensure that it's flat against the surface. So just a little bit of love. There we go. Happy little clouds. But yeah, that's why I haven't been making as many videos. Doing this pinball stuff. Pre-tin. Because solder, love solder. Or solder if you're British. This is when you got to kind of come in at an angle. Just want to make sure you don't hit the wrong test point. A little bit of a spring. Bob's your uncle. Oh, I forgot to do the scrape. Need to find ground. Thin solder mask. Yes. Yes. Oh, I didn't make a... I don't think I made a video of VCF Midwest. Jerry Ellsworth was there. I was like, I'm so surprised. I haven't seen her at that show in eons. And I was so honored. Like all the stuff I was giving away, I had like my engineer uncle's extra wire wrap. And she's like, oh, I'll take that. And I was very honored. I actually almost cried. Don't tell anyone. Oh, wait, I just told you. I'm like, Jerry, I can't think of anyone I'd rather have that because you'll actually appreciate it and know what it is. Then, of course, we drank a ton of booze. Oh, and then we were hanging out outside, and I was like, oh, I like started spazzing out. And I'm like, Jerry, I am dying to hear what you think of the Commander X16. And she was like, you know, I actually think it's kind of cool. I'm like, I was kind of surprised. I was expecting her to like have a different opinion. And I'm like, oh, interesting. Because whenever, I mean, I watched all the 8-Bit Guys videos and I don't know, I just see that thing and I'm like, oh man, there is so much through-hole on this. But if they can get it done, that's great. There's just so much through-hole. Yeah, if you're in the Midwest area, the Vintage Computer Festival Midwest, it's every September in Schaumburg, which is just west of the O'Hare Airport. And the show has grown, I don't know if exponentially, but it's been growing very, very fast the last couple of years. It's definitely worth checking out. Alright, now I need to attach those face buttons. Yeah, let's see. Robin goes there. Adrian's Digital Basement is usually there. LGR has been going there for the last couple of years, so I guess he's a regular there now. 8-Bit Guy, he's been going there at least the last 2 years. So yeah, and then yeah, Jerry came back. That was, man, you hadn't seen Jerry in ages. I think she's still doing Tilt 5. Yeah, it was a fun show. I definitely enjoy only going to the conventions that I want to go to. So I still go to conventions, I just don't go to like 7 a year or whatever it used to be. So they use right angle tack switches for these shoulder buttons. So I'm just going to wire directly to the tack switch. Now these tack switches would also go through that I/O expander, but this is obviously an easier place to solder it. Oh, speaking of conventions, I am going to be at the Texas Pinball Festival this upcoming March. So what is that, March 17th of 2024? So yes, if you want to come over and yell at me, I will be there. Oh yeah, I should go to either Babe's Chicken Dinner House or what's the other place called? Hard 8. Yeah, Hard 8 is a barbecue place. The Chicken Dinner House is insane. Of course, this is pre-inflation, but you would go there and then it's like family style. So you all sit at this table and then they bring out like these gigantic plates of fried chicken. It's insane. And I want to say, well, of course, this was like 2017. It's pretty reasonably priced too. Yeah, I should go to at least one of those when I go down to. It's in Dallas. Oh, I have to sing, I guess. Dun 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 dun. Key change. Dun 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 dun. If you recognize this song, you might be an 80s kid. I blame the camera being in the way. That was always a big fight on the Ben Heck show. It was like the camera's getting in the way of building things. It's like, but the show was about building things. But the cameras make it harder for me to build things. Oh, yeah. All right, let's hook up the secondary L3. They all have a common ground, so we just need the signal wire. So the reason I chopped that off is because I have to solder the Hall effect sensor extension wire to that spot right there. And I also have to solder here to move this left analog stick to the rear of the unit. All right, here's the extension wire for the rear analog stick. Dun, 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 dun. I didn't want to watch Dallas. My parents always watched Dallas. But then there were shows we'd watch that, well, I guess I watched Dallas, but I just don't remember it. What else did we watch back then? Oh, A-Team, Knight Rider, Riptide, Dukes of Hazzard. What else was big? Oh, Hardcastle McCormick, Magnum P.I. Man, so many classics. You watch them now and it's also cheesy. It's all like people shooting guns at the ground and like B.A. Baracus like dancing around the dust that pops up from the ground. It's like, I pity the fool that shoots bullets at my feet. Ah, what a nascent time. All right, so we're going to bend this over. So the analog stick, it's voltage reference, ground, and then the 2 pots. So you only need 4 wires. Nice. Lots of hot snot. Yes. Okay, I have to drill a hole here. That wire to get out. 2.5 millimeter bit. All right, bring this over. So this trigger is moved down here. So let's take this. I'm gonna take this guy. Squish them into a V. Stick it into the hole. Pull it out the back. This guy, the red mark, goes to the right. So when you're looking at it from the top down, so the right is going to be on that side. So this is much longer than it needs to be. So we're going to pull it back. I mean, I probably could have made like a flex circuit interface for this part, but this part's not too hard. Now I want to have a little bit more slack than I might need because I want to be able to open and close the case. So that's why you don't want to make these wires super short. And in theory, this could be susceptible to electromagnetic interference. Although these Hall effect sensors are only pinged at 125 hertz, so it's not like it's that likely to happen. Yeah. Right. Oh no, who shot J.R. Ewing? It was Maggie. You know, before Simpsons did it, it was the Twilight Zone. You ever watch the old Twilight Zone? There's so many movies and stuff that like ripped off plots from the Twilight Zone. It's like, oh, that's where they got the idea for E.T. Hey, you know that movie where Hugh Jackman had a robot boxer? Yeah, that was from the Twilight Zone. Even the Simpsons ripped off the Twilight Zone. Or if it's Rick and Morty, you rip off Star Trek Next Gen. Great, I'm gonna have the Dallas theme stuck in my head all night. Well, it's already 10 o'clock. Yes, since I've been doing pinball stuff all the time, I started this build at 8:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. So it's like, oh man. See, that's what was happening like around like 2013, 2014. I was doing the show. I was also like doing pinball development for America's Most Wanted. And then I was also building these controllers. So I would do like the show for like 8 hours and then I would stay in the shop until like 9 p.m. building this kind of stuff. And at a certain point I'm like, this is stupid. But Felix is like, at the time he was a student and he had a kid. So it's like, hey, Felix could use the money more than I could. So that's when I was like, Felix, you should do this. And he's like, okay, Mr. Heck. Felix is still around. I don't know what he's doing right at the moment. He kind of had like this weird vagabond life after the show. Yeah. If there's ever, next time he's in Madison, if he hits me up, I should see if I can get him to like make a video so he can like fill you all in on what's up. I also still have his signed Vasquez photo that I need to give him from Aliens. All right, I made sure that it was working by hooking this up to the computer. Hook this up to the computer with a USB-C cable to make sure everything was working. It is. So I can move on to the final steps. Yeah, like around 2014. Man, there was so much work going on. A lot of times people ask me, why did you quit doing the show? And it was just a ton of work and the schedule just, after a while I was like, okay, I'm good. Did it for 8 years. All right. Connectors are good. Yeah, if you're not careful, these can get stuck inside the controller. But yeah, so that's why I had Felix do it, because I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't need to be working this hard. So this is why I always print these for printer tests, because I can always use them. This was also the one that was scanned with the Creality Ferret scanner. So it's a perfect fit. So what I do, it's such a good fit that I don't put hot glue on it, on the surfaces to begin with, because then the hot glue would occlude the fit. So I push it up against it, and then I put hot glue on the edges, and then I screw it. So the hot glue holds it in place, so it's in the right position when we put in the screws. This reminds me of the time we toured the Tesla factory. And the guy's like, oh yeah, we actually glue the cars together. The welds are just there to hold the pieces in place while the glue cures. That was back when Tesla was in the old Toyota Matrix factory on the north side of San Francisco Bay. Yeah, there we go. One more. There is a slight chance this hits this wire. It doesn't happen too often, but it has happened. It's one of those things where it's like it happens so rarely that trying to mitigate it isn't really worth the time. There we go. All right. I've got the red marker, which is ground. I know that's incorrect. Don't email me. I won't read it anyway, because I love not reading emails. Nothing personal. I don't know. That reminds me, there's a random story. It was back when Allison was reading the emails or filtering the emails for the Ben Heck show. And I gave her this advice, and it was to smell the money. I was like, rich people write emails in a certain way, and you should like look for that. For one thing, they write very terse, to the point emails, which is what everyone should do. It's like, hi, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I want. 1, 2, 3, boom. These pots have to be adjusted, of course, because they ship hard over. All right, put in place, and now we have the holes to reveal them. And then this goes like this. And it's done. Yay! Bud, don't scratch that. That's part of the home's foundation. And finally the D-pad. Gotta make sure that this fits into the cap and is loose. Looks like it's good. So this glues in place. This part, I think, could be a little better, so maybe in the future I'll improve it. And then we put it in upside down, like this, and let it dry. PCBWay asked me if I wanted a goodie box, and I said, yeah, sure. And they're like, okay, is your address in our system? I'm like, yes, it is, because I have ordered from them before. I think we did like one sponsored video where they made me some flex circuit boards. They keep wanting me to do a project, but I just need a project to do. We might possibly do it for like the workshop in the spring. But yeah, I have no idea what's in this box. Maybe it's like a fruitcake. Oh, is that a sweater? Or is it a pillow? What is this? It's a PCBWay pillow. Happy New Year 2023. Merry Christmas. PCB prototyping the easy way. Well, let's take. It's just like the cat beds you never sit on. Oh, it's like ornament? Is there any microcontrollers on it? I guess not. Oh, it probably has little LEDs that, you know, are autonomous. What's this? Unfolding desktop phone mobile. Unfolding, upgraded folding desktop mobile phone holder. Just like that? Oh, wait. Oh, it's like that. I think. There we go. That's right, I'm still rocking the Pixel 2. It still works. Oh, the movie star's Bela Lugosi. He's still alive. Sort of. Oh, packing list, okay. Redeem gifts, portable notebook, cell phone holder, mug, thickened table mat, embroidered pillow, quilt, dual use, a mouse pad. Oh, this must be the mug. And my dentist keeps telling me to drink coffee. And I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, I'll keep enjoying trips to the Bahamas. Oh, that's a nice mug. And it has like kind of like a terracotta look. Bud, how are you enjoying this unboxing? You didn't eat all of your tuna. I couldn't believe it. Oh, it's just a PCB ruler? Probably. think I have the EEV. I have a couple of these. I have like the EEV blog version and the Adafruit version. You know what would be neat is if it was a ruler, but it also had like breakout pads. So like if you wanted to, you know, do something like a flat flex ribbon cable, it would actually have breakout pins so you could actually use it for prototyping. That'd be cool. Oh man, there's a ton of... Oh, this is probably to tell you all the colors they have. You can design PCBs with all the colors of the wind. What is this? Oh, it's an electronic symbol cheat sheet. And it's got Ohm's Law on the back. Bud, what is it? I gave you all that leftover tuna. You should be on cloud 9. Oh, it must be an example of their resin printing. You can see some styrations right there by the tip of my thumb. Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they do like 3D printing, stereolithography, CNC machining, and other things. I've mentioned this in other videos, but it's just kind of hard to be inspired about electronics projects because you can't hardly find chips. I mean, I know I had my final microcontroller project. Oh crap, that reminds me. Oh, a smaller version of the above. Actually, this looks like a different process. Actually, no, it does. It's the same process. Yeah, I ordered some chips off Mauser last spring. So it would have been spring of 2022. For my workshop. And I had just enough to do the workshop, but I wanted to order like 20 spares. Oh, it's a holiday greetings card. Yeah, so I ordered like 20 spares, and they're like, and someone sniped me like after I clicked my order. So I got sniped in the pick, I guess. So I get an email, oh, sorry, those chips are back ordered. And the actual ship time vacillates. So it was like, oh, it's going to be 3 months. At one point, it was like August of 2023. Another one of these. But now apparently they're in stock. But since then, since placing that order, my debit card got dinged on a fishing trip, which happens every year for some dumb reason. I even called, I was like, where did I even go? I used my NFC at Quick Trip up in Rice Lake. So actually, I was like, I used a cash machine at the bar. So I called up the Bluegill bar and I'm like, hey, you might want to check your ATM for a card skimmer. I'm sure they didn't bother. So anyway, the card I placed the order with is no longer valid. Wait, which begs the question, I guess they didn't charge me at the time? Oh, it's like a notebook. Your girlfriend will love it. Oh, it's got one of these things. Yeah. Oh, that's nice. You can be reminded of Christmas all year long. I wonder what that is. A round mouse pad. Not sure if I'll ever use that. Maybe I gotta check some of this notebook. Oh, this is to save your place. That's what's to save your that's to bookmark the most boring book ever written. Not bad. I don't know what this is. Hope it's a giant candy cane. Oh, it's some sort of work mat. Oh man, it has a smell. Oh, it's a PCBWay work mat. Relax, every problem has a solution. Except for the sun blowing up. Oh, cool, I could use this for one of my workshops or take it on one of my trips. And there's even a little robot. Wow, thank you very much, PCBWay, for the thoughtful holiday gifts. I'm sure I can use some of this stuff. And yeah, maybe at some point in the future I will do a larger project with them. It's the most wonderful bud of the year. Oh, I can't go that low anymore, bud. I'll try a different octave. It's the most wonderful bud of the year. There we go. Are you a Christmas cat? Why, hello there. Remember me? Yes. Oh, they finally announced the pinball machine I've been programming. So yes, I have been doing the code for a Texas Chainsaw Massacre pinball machine for Spooky Pinball. And I think they're going to start shipping it early 2024. So, therefore, I've been in crunch. And I haven't been able to make very many videos. But PCBWay sent me this box of swag, stuff we all get. Yeah, so I thought I'd just do a quick video, take a look what's inside. Actually, PCBWay has been asking me to do a project for years. And I think I might actually take them up on the offer for the next MGC workshop, the game badge. If I could get them to pre-populate the passives and the lithium-ion controller circuit, that would make the workshop a lot easier. That way, the people who attend will only have to populate the audio amplifier, the tack switches, and the castellated Pico itself. So yeah, maybe we'll have a video about that in early spring. All right. What is this? It's a PCBWay snake. All right, I'll set that over here. So yeah, I've just been really busy programming that. Because I was doing it like 32 hours a week, I'd say, roughly 4 days a week. And then the other one day I'd do like other projects, usually single-handed controllers for people. Oh, look at this very elegant wax seal. Is this actually wax? Here, I'll just taste it, of course. Yes, it is. Oh, it's a Christmas mouse pad. Oh, and like a gel bar for a keyboard. That's great because I'm actually making a new work-from-home station in my basement because I'm going to do another pinball. And I need a better separation between work and home. It's probably pretty obvious, even if you haven't met me in real life, but I am not an introvert by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I like being alone most of the time, but still, I don't know. I'm not really the biggest fan of work from home, but ironically, I do it. I was doing it before it was cool. So yeah, I need to, from the advice of my friend Chris Kraft, there, shout out Chris. He was like, well, I made a completely separate place in my house for my work from home. And I'm like, that's a good idea. So that's what I'm doing. I'm using the unused corner of my basement, the rec room area. Yeah, see, this is good for work from home. I'm using the unused corner of my well, actually I redid the whole rec room, but in the corner, I'm gonna have a new. I'm gonna build up a new computer just for Unity development. All right, so they sent me a couple lanyards, I guess. Maybe I could use those for my workshop. What is this? A Santa pillow? Oh my gosh. What is this? Yes, this was Bud. It's not like he attacks me, he just has claws because it's not 1972 anymore. And, you know, it just happens. Oh, I guess I need a, what is that, a 20, no, 30, whatever it is. Whatever the, oh, so most of the box looks like it's a Christmas pillow. Take this, look at this from a separate view. And what is this? Oh, look, they made me a little badge. Ben Heck Hacks PCB. Oh, I love PCBWay apparently. Okay. Is this like a refrigerator magnet? I have like 2 refrigerators. I have a washing machine. Oh no, this would be a badge that you would put through your shirt. See? Oh, cool. Well, I could use this for my my workshop, especially if PCBWay helps us out. Got some stickers. Put these on my 3D printer. Oh yes. I think they send these boxes to a lot of different YouTubers. Yeah, I just wanted. Yeah, I will do a project with them because the main thing I'd be looking for is getting PCBs pre-stuffed, and so there just needed to be like the right project, you know, but also something that's like kind of simple, because sometimes when you have parts stuffed overseas, there might be different suppliers, you might not be able to get the part. So I wanted to be fairly simple. So as I mentioned, it's gonna be mostly a bunch of passives that'll save time for a workshop. So it looks like they gave me 2 Christmas ornaments this year. Oh, you know who would love this is my mom. She loved Christmas stuff. Oh, Ben, you should come home for Christmas. And oh, I probably have to because I skipped, what's it called? Thanksgiving? All right. The ocean. A tumbler? Oh, you can put coffee in this. Keep your favorite drink's temperature intact. Whoa, look at this thing. This thing is... Holy crap, that's huge. Oh, it's metal on the inside. Oh, has this actually got a vacuum? I would assume so. It's not super thick. 40 ounces, holy crap. I wonder if I could take this to Quick Trip and get it filled up, because everything you get filled up there is the same price. I have a Quick Trip tumbler, but it's probably only about this big. But I don't even know if this would fit in my car cup holder. Well, yeah, it must have some sort of a vacuum in it because it's got this lip here. Yeah, because here's your outer lip here, and there's a inner lip that has a smaller diameter, but the outside diameter is the same. So yeah, it must have a chamber. What do you want? Do you want a good Christmas present? Your Christmas present is I will let you continue to live here. Rent-free! What a bargain. Oh my gosh, it is a PCBWay Santa pillow. They sent me a pillow last year. Oh, Merry Christmas. Nice. They sent me a pillow last year. I guess I could put this on my back porch. I got that extra couch. That's weird. You open up the pillow and there isn't a pillow inside of it. It's just like a pouch. Maybe you're supposed to put like a heater element in this or something. You could put a giant PCB in it. That's just one big whole bunch of... You can just... You know what you do? Yeah, you put in a 3D printer plate. Yeah, that would be safe. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, let's read the missive. Tyrion Lannister wrote this. Hey, Ben. That's me. Fancy greeting you in this manner. As the festive season approaches, we wanted to take this opportunity to extend our warmest greetings to you and your family. In the spirit of this season, we have put together a special 2024 version Christmas swag bag, stuff we all get, for you as a token of our appreciation for the hard work and dedication you have been putting into your channel. Well, not so much this year, but thanks. We hope it brings you and your loved ones joy and warmth during this festive time. Admittedly, we have been a huge fan of your channel, and have been continually impressed by the quality and creativity of your content. Okay, form letter, but it's a pity that it wasn't the right time. Oh, wow. Oh, this actually is kind of customized. It is a pity that it wasn't the right time during the past 2023 that we can meet each other. Yet we do believe that we must do something together and create engaging content that resonates with every single audience in the upcoming 2024. For now, we'll be eagerly awaiting any chance to discuss potential collaborative ideas with you at your earliest convenience. We promise you we will do everything that a good partner is supposed to do. Once again, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year. May the holiday season bring you and your whole family joy, peace, and happiness. Sincerely, Elaine and all of PCBWay's other members. What's on the back? Oh, it was a Christmas card. Yeah, it's just there has to be like the right project, and I think that game badge, the 2024 edition, would be good. We did that. When did we do that? Was that March of 2023, earlier this year? And I think in the past we'd done like either 20 or 30 people, and then we split it up into two groups or two sessions of 20 each for a total of 40. And I want to say it was like 3 hours per session with a 1 hour gap in between. And we got it all done, although it was a little dicey, and I hardly had time to get reset in the 1 hour gap. So if PCBWay can help me out with pre-stuffing some boards, that will make the 2024 workshop much easier to do, and then we can spend more time enjoying the project instead of rushing to get it finished. Because it is a lot to ask for people that aren't familiar with surface mount soldering to just suddenly surface mount solder, but it is also nice to show them that it's not magic. It can be done. You just gotta, give it a try. I wonder if I took this to Quick Trip and filled it up, if they would charge me extra.